Hello, my name is Peter Milton and I developed TimeChainage. This is part 3 in a series of tutorials designed to help you produce your first schedule in TimeChainage. In parts 1 and 2 we established project details, set preferences, created calendars, established a work breakdown structure and added activities to our schedule. In this video we will format the chart, add a title block and schematic and print a PDF. I have TimeChainage open, so let's open the project file and get started. We go to the File menu and our project file is in the Recent Files list. I'll click on it to open the project. As you can see, the project and file names appear in the status bar. As it stands, the chart is not very helpful. There are a lot of lines and boxes but nothing to indicate distances or dates, so we can't make much sense of it yet. This is where the formatting comes in. We will start by setting the chainage and date range of the chart. Up to now we have relied upon the auto range feature to control the chart ranges, but I want to manually expand it a little. To do this we uncheck the auto range checkbox, and this will allow us to modify the chainage and date ranges. I will type in the chainage range I want, from -700 meters to +8,450 meters. We can type the dates in directly as well, but I will use the calculator control to select the dates I want. We will go from 31st of March 25 to 31st of December 27. Most of the formatting will be undertaken from the chart setup dialog, so we will go there first. From the Format menu, we select Chart Setup, and the Setup dialog opens. There are 10 tabs to this dialog and we will not be reviewing all of the options today. That will make this video far too long. Instead we will just cover the options we want for this chart. A future video will do a deep dive into this dialog and all of its features. The Axis tab allows us to have time and distance labels on the chart axis. There are various options for time, including daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly and yearly. For the left time axis, we will select month and year. Position will be between ticks and the spacing will be left at 1. A spacing of 1 means every month will be shown. A spacing of 2 will have every second month shown, and so on. For the right time axis, we will select quarter and year. Position will be between ticks and spacing will be 1. For chainage we can have labels at any distance interval. For the top chainage axis we will have a spacing of 250 meters. Position will be on tick and we will check the show button. For the bottom chainage axis we will have 1000 meter spacing. It will be on tick and the labels will show. The font controls are for printing only, not the computer display. Unless you are doing a large print size, the default font size is usually fine. I think our chart will look best at an A2 size, and a slightly larger font won't do any harm. As you can see, we can set the font for each axis separately. I will leave the font type as Arial, but will increase the size to 12 for all the axes. We'll click the OK button so we can see how the labels look. I think we could do with some grid lines, so let's add some. We go back to the Chart Setup dialog via the Format menu. We select the Grids tab now. Here we can have major grids and minor grids, and we can select line thicknesses and colours for each. For the time grids, we can space them at daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly or yearly intervals. The chainage grids can be spaced at any interval. For the major time grid we will select year, and for the minor time grid we will select month. We will keep the default colours and line widths. For the major chainage grid we will have 1000 meters, and for the minor grid 250 meters. We will keep the default line colours and widths and check the show boxes. Let's see what that looks like on the chart. As you can see, we now have labels and grids to our chart. Let's return to the chart setup dialog. We now go to the Holidays tab. Here we can show holidays and weekly non-working time. First we select a calendar to show on the chart. Most activities use the 5-day site holidays calendar, so we select this one. The weekly non-work time option refers to regular weekly days off, such as the weekends. So for our calendar we said Saturday and Sunday were non-working. The show holidays option shows the added non-work periods in the calendar. Our calendar had Christmas, Easter and bank holidays. We will check the show holidays option but leave the other option unchecked. I will select a mid-grey for the colour and backward diagonal for the hatching. Lastly, we can have the holiday period shown in front of or behind the activity lines. I will leave it on the default setting of behind. We will now go to the Format tab and look at the bar box hatching section. This affects the line width of hatching within the box type activities. By default, the hatching is the same width as we defined on the lines for the WBS form, but it can look nicer to have a different width, so I will set it to 1. Let's close the dialog and see the chart. That looks good. Let's see how it will look when printed at A2 size. For this we go to the print preview. We go to the file menu and select print preview. The print size shown initially will be the default size of the printer selected. To change it, we go to the page setup. Here we can select landscape or portrait orientation. We will leave it on landscape. We now click on the setup button to open the print setup dialog. Here you can select a printer or PDF writer. I want to make a PDF, so we'll keep the Qt PDF writer as my option. I will then select the size as A2, then click on the OK button to exit and OK again. We can now see how it will look if we printed it at A2 size. Looking at the default annotation, I think we can increase the font size a little, and these activity descriptions are coming out of the chart frame. We can change both of these. We will press the close button to exit the preview form. By default, the activity description is shown on the chart. However, there are various options to change what is shown. To make changes, we go to the Planned Annotation dialog. To get there, we click on the Annotation menu and select Planned. This opens up the Planned Activities Annotation dialog. Across the top are global adjustments that affect all activities. The table below allows us to make adjustments to individual tasks. Looking at the global adjustments, we can make any text match the gradient of the associated activity line. If we uncheck this box, the text will be horizontal. We will leave it checked. We want to increase the font size, so we'll click on the font button. I will make the font size 10, then click OK. This will not affect the font size on the display, only for the print. We can have text at the start or end of the line, and there are options for what is shown. For example, the description or WBS or start chainage. We will keep the default of description and have it at the start of the line. There are options to show annotation for all of the activities or none, and also to align all text to the left or right. In this context, we mean the left or right side of the text aligns with the start or end of the activity line. By default, annotation is shown at the start of the line and not at the end. The default alignment is left for the start of the line and right for the end of the line. What we want to do is adjust some individual activities, and we will do that in the table. To help us find the activities we want to change, we will temporarily select Ref ID for the annotation and click OK to return to the chart. We will zoom in to the area where the text is that we want to adjust. We can see the activities that we definitely want to change, and these are numbers 72, 74, 86, 87, 182, 183 and 186. So let's go back to the annotation dialog to make the changes. We go to the annotation menu and select planned. First we will set the text back to description. Next we scroll down in the table to activity 72. We then click on the start alignment field to change it from left to right. If we were to click it again, it will change back to left. We will do the same for items 74, 86, 87, 182, 183 and 186. We will close the dialog and return to the chart. Let's see how the print preview looks. We go to the File menu and select Print Preview. That has helped a lot, but there is some text down here at the bell mouths that need adjusting. We will return to the main form. We will go back to view the full screen by clicking on the Zoom Out button. Then we will zoom into this area here. Now we can see the text that could do with moving. We can change the positioning of the text by entering chainage and time offsets, or we can hide specific annotations. We want to move the bell mouth works text down a bit. We go back to the planned annotations form. We have a WBS item called Remove Bell Mouths, so let's scroll down until we can find it. Here are the tasks we are after. I will try a time offset of 14 days for all 5 tasks and see what that looks like. We will go back to the print preview and see. That has worked fine. There is still some work to do, but to prevent this tutorial taking too long, I will leave it there. The next thing we want for our chart is a title block. There is a dialog called Headers, and we can get to it via the Format menu in the main window, or else we can also get to it from the print preview. We click on the Headers button and we have several tabs to work through. The Version tab allows us to have a version block on the left side of the title block. We can customize the reference fields. Just type in what you want and we can select from 1 to 5 rows. We will set it to 4 rows. For the date, I will enter the 23rd of Jan 25. The reference will be TC-1. I'll change version to program version. And I'll enter 1 as the version number. In the by field, I'll enter Peter Milton. I will leave the sizes and the font at the default values. I will check the Show control. Next we'll open the Title tab. The title can have up to 3 lines plus some additional header text. For line 1 I will enter TimeChainage tutorial. For line 2, we'll have underground HV cable project. For line 3, we'll have overall plan. We will set a font size for line 3 by clicking on the font button. We will set the size to 14. We will keep the number of rows shown at 3, and we will check the Show Titles box. We can have some additional text above the title block. In this case, we will have the file name on the left-hand side, nothing in the middle, and the planner's name on the right-hand side. We make sure that the checkbox is checked. Let's see how this looks so far. We click on the OK button to exit the dialog. As you can see, we have a version block on the left-hand side and the title block taking up the rest of the width. The text looks a little squashed in the print preview. The final output, though, will be fine. Next, we want to add a legend, so we'll go back to the Headers dialog. We'll go to the Legend tab and we'll click on the Show Legend box. We have no filter set and no actual progress, so we can leave these boxes unchecked. Whether we show the legend above the chart or down the side depends on how many legend items there are and whether or not you need the chart space. We have 19 WBS values, so we will check the right side of the chart option. We can adjust the legend box width to reflect the legend description lengths. For this project, I will make the legend width 5.5 centimeters. We want to have a logo, so we click on the Logo tab. We click on the Import button and navigate to where we have a logo in JPEG format. I have one on the desktop. We'll select it and click the Open button. TimeChainage will reduce the size of the logo if necessary to fit the height of the title box. It will also adjust the width of the title box to fit. You can manually adjust the width and height though if you wish. I will leave it at the default values. Then we check the Show Logo box. We will click OK to see the finished title block. In the Headers dialog, there is an option to show the chainage unit. Let's show it. We return to the Headers dialog and open the Footers tab. Here we will check the Show Chainage Units box. Then we exit the dialog. We want one more addition, and that is a schematic of the project shown across the top of the chart. We go back to the Headers dialog and select the Schematic tab. TimeChainage comes with a drawing tool which enables you to create simple schematics. That will be the subject of another tutorial though, so instead we will import an image file to show instead. In the Imported Schematic section, we click on the Import button and navigate to our image file in JPEG format. I have one on the desktop which we can use. Then we click Open. We need to check the Show Schematic box, and I will also check the Keep Aspect Ratio box. If we don't check it, then TimeChainage will stretch or compress the image to fit the available height. Next, we adjust the schematic height to 6 centimeters. We need to align the image horizontally to match the chart. If you know the start and end changes of the imported image, this is an easy exercise. If not, then it is just a simple case of trial and error. For the image I am using, I know I need to adjust the changes. First, I uncheck the default range box and enter -750 meters in the start chainage field and 8,550 meters in the end chainage field. With that done, we click on the OK button to exit the dialog. We have finished formatting the chart, so we can now print it. We set the printing options up earlier, so there is not much for us to do. We click on the print dialog, then press the OK button. We then provide a file name, and I will use the default project name, and then save it to the desktop. The PDF is now saved. We now need to save the project file, so we will leave the print preview page using the close button. Saving the project file will also save all of the formatting options, so everything will look the same the next time we open the project. To save the file, we go to the File menu and click on Save. Okay, let's have a look at the PDF we just produced. In File Explorer, I'll double click on the file and open it. Well, that all looks good, and hopefully you'll agree that it wasn't too difficult to do. I hope these videos on creating your first schedule has helped you to get started and understand the features of TimeChainage better. Future videos will cover individual features in more detail, and also look at other functions that we have not covered at all. Watch out for them, and thank you for watching.